Thank you for joining us for this month's virtual Curators Tour. I'm Jenna Gilly, Associate Curator of Exhibitions at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, and I'll be your tour guide today. We'll be looking at the exhibition Color X Color, selections from the Chuck Sperry Archive, curated by Josef Zimmerman. Chuck Sperry has honed the craft of designing and hand screen printing for over 20 years to become recognized throughout the world as one of the foremost rock poster artists and printmakers. Elevating the craft to fine art, Sperry creates socio-political artwork beyond rock posters. In his studio Hangar 18, located in Oakland, California, Sperry prides himself on printing every poster himself. Art history and Greek muses are a few of his many inspirations. He adheres to the ideal that beauty strengthens his message. Beyond a form of advertising, this exhibition recognizes Sperry's talent and drive to push the realm of printmaking through the atypical production of rock posters. This medium, as the artist has stated, is an art for the masses, yet by no means does that diminish its value. Through beauty, process, and humor, Sperry's work brings the fine art out of its often snobby context to engage viewers of all backgrounds. For these reasons, the Fort Wayne Museum of Art is proud to be the future home of Chuck Sperry's archive, which will consist of roughly one of every poster the artist has ever and will ever make. As this exhibition is a kind of retrospective on the artist's career, the first portion focuses on his early work at his studio called the Psychic Spark Plug and Firehouse Station 4. Sometimes called the Chemical Box because of its tiny space and abundance of toxic paints, the Psychic Spark Plug was a small printing studio run by Ron Donovan and Orion Landau. Sperry, who had been working as an art director and mural artist, joined the two to learn more about printmaking. Together, the team made Sperry's first rock posters, including this print for punk rock band Fear. This was Sperry's first ever printed poster with Ron Donovan. It features a 1950s car plummeting off the road, a fitting motif for Fear. The cheeky tagline, "Disregard your personal safety," and a mini 666 rock on the car's license plate serve as fun Easter eggs upon closer inspection. Sperry would continue to insert minute details such as this to entice viewers to spend more time looking at his posters, which were usually made to be glanced at. Through this, in addition to acute color and design sensibilities, Sperry began creating art in comparison to another eye-catching graphic. The second example we'll be discussing today is from Sperry's next studio. Aptly named Firehouse because it was located in an abandoned fire station in San Francisco, Sperry ran Firehouse Custom Rock Art Company with Ron Donovan from 1997 to 2001. While there, Sperry's career began to really take off, booking big-paying jobs for Virgin Megastore and Incredibly Strange Wrestling, which this poster promotes. In Sperry's words, calling Incredibly Strange Wrestling an event or multi-dimensional entertainment falls pathetically short of capturing the madness and mayhem that would descend on the poor nightclub who hosted this strange mix of music and Mexican wrestling. Simply put, ISW, as it was known, was Mexican wrestling in a rock venue with a ring and mat. The greatest punk bands that event organizers could lay their hands on played between spectacular, satirical, slapstick wrestling matches. A master of ceremonies narrated the matches, adding essential drama. The audience started bringing tortillas, which flew in waves at the ring. Though the wrestlers churned them into cornmeal beneath their wrestling boots, those tortillas kept flying all night long. Anything, literally anything, was permitted on the posters, and I continuously pushed the boundary of comedy and good taste, using the opportunity to create each new wrestling poster as a means of distilling the heavy sarcasm of the 1990s and turning it into a mad visual record of this ridiculously popular and entertaining rock event. Here we can see one example of Sperry's wicked humor. In Incredibly Strange Wrestling, comic book number 3, Transmission Theater, a bare-chested Mexican wrestler has been backed up against a tree by a horde of angry zombies. One holds a condo lease form. Tombstones for punk and hardcore rock can be seen at the wrestlers' booted feet. The fate of San Francisco live music stands undecided in a dug but empty grave. Once again, Sperry displays his edgy form of humor and specificity to his clients through these small details. Another thing to note is the comic-inspired style of this print. Chuck's early work often follows the hard-edged and bright color palette of vintage cartoons. Moving into the next eras of his career, he will adopt a much more intricate style, reminiscent of early 20th century Art Nouveau posters. Following another iteration of his Firehouse studio, in 2007, Sperry moved his studio to its current location at Hangar 18 in Oakland, California. The space's massive 5,000-foot size allowed the artist to create anything he could imagine. One of Sperry's new commissions was for the legendary Edwardian Ball, hosted annually in San Francisco, California. Costume and enthusiastic attendees, traveling from as far as Australia, Japan, and the UK, flocked to the San Francisco tradition for a delightful blend of ballroom dancing, live music, riveting stage shows, DJs, fine art galleries, a vending marketplace, absinthe cocktails, steam machinery, parlor games, sideshows, and more. Here in Sperry's second poster for the Edwardian Ball, printed in 2011, we can see some of Sperry's new design aesthetic. Thinner, looser lines outline his fancifully dressed skeleton figures, and a monkey riding a borzoi dog. Instead of swaths of bright, flat color, Sperry opts for a field of subtle red and sepia tones, broken up in select places by a damask print, which is echoed in the background. This new style not only mimics the subject matter, but also Sperry's development as a printmaker, as differences in tone and an increase of detail meant more complicated prints. Sperry's Edwardian Ball posters, like many of his rock posters, always have an edge of social critique to them. In Sperry's words, they are done with a wink and a nod, in keeping with the enjoyment of attending such an elaborate period pageant. Most of the ball attendees realized that the Edwardian era was one of unabashed and ostentatious oligarchy, unrivaled economic imperialism, and a presumed European superiority complex. It's these things that make the period so bizarre to us today. I've always endeavored to reveal this outrageous and bizarre sense of imperial entitlement in my Edwardian Ball posters, while also keeping them wild and fun. Next is perhaps what Sperry is best known for, and that is the sultry images of his ladies. Here we see Semele, produced for Widespread Panic. A beautiful nude woman gazes out directly at the viewer, lips slightly parted. Her long, fiery hair and a lay of abstract shapes cover her breast, while a shawl slips from her shoulders. Numerous motifs allude to godliness or holiness, including the woman's raised hand, which echoes Christ's hand of blessing in Byzantine tradition, and a circle of light radiating from behind her crowned head. The Art Nouveau influence is also apparent, as the flower crown, long hair, and thin, linear font choice reference movie posters of the early 1900s, which often featured romantic, scantily clad maidens frolicking in nature. Red hair was a particular favorite of Art Nouveau master Alphonse Mucha, and it seems this has also passed to Chuck Sperry. In addition to these references, the poster's title references Greek mythology. Semele, the only mortal to become the parent of a god, enchanted Zeus while giving a sacrifice at his altar. She subsequently gave birth to the god Dionysus, the god of wine and festivity, fitting for a rock concert. This tie also brings up the idea of the sensual female muse, which has maintained a constant in the arts since ancient times. Through all these astute references, Sperry links the history of rock posters with the history of other celebrated art forms, elevating the medium beyond just exceptional craft. Finally, we'll take a look at one of Sperry's most recent works, Ben Harper, Paradiso, Amsterdam. This work reflects the evolution of Sperry's style and breadth, In addition to his ladies, Sperry can evolve his designs to suit a multitude of musical genres and artists. In this example for Ben Harper and the Innocent Criminals, the ornate wallpaper-like background, a mixture of Art Nouveau and the psychedelic 70s, is similar to that seen in his older works. However, Sperry has toned down his typical punchy punk rock aesthetic to earthier tones, embodying the blues and folk sounds of the American singer. The fact that this poster was also made for a concert in Amsterdam attests to the fact that Sperry's work has traveled a long way since its original creation in a 144-square-foot studio in California. Chuck Sperry is now an internationally celebrated rock icon and talented artist. Thank you for joining us on today's virtual Curators tour. If you would like to see more of Sperry's work, please join us at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art to see Color X Color, selections from the Chuck Sperry Archive, now open until July 10th.